Welcome to our last episode of SNEED-CAST Industry Update for the year. Our series that keeps you updated with our ever-changing industry. For those of you that have been watching this series for a while now, you know how this goes, but for those of you that are new, welcome. We'll be covering the latest in manufacturing, packaging, coding, sustainability, and much more. I'm your host, Alexa, and today we're diving into a range of pressing topics. We'll cover the global plastics treaty talks stalling over a major impasse, the heated debate surrounding a potential packaging tax, and the impact of Trump-era tariffs that could drive up fish prices. We'll also discuss the cancellation of the Albertsons and Kroger merger and wrap up with the FTC's lawsuit against the largest wine and spirits distributor in the U.S. Stay tuned for an in-depth look at these key stories. So, starting off, the urgent need to address the escalating global plastic pollution crisis remains a critical environmental challenge. Current estimates by the United Nations reveal that over 400 million tons of plastic waste are produced annually, with only 9% being recycled. The rest ends up in landfills, oceans, and other ecosystems, causing devastating harm to wildlife and contributing to climate change. Against this backdrop, the global plastics treaty negotiations, which aim to establish a legally binding framework to curb plastic waste, have faced significant delays but are set to resume next year. Key developments in the treaty discussions include a growing consensus among participating nations to implement measures such as phasing out single-use plastics and promoting a circular economy. However, disagreements on the scope and enforcement mechanisms of the treaty have stalled progress. Notably, voices such as Inger Andersen, Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme, also known as the UNEP, have emphasized the need for a global and inclusive solution to address the plastic waste crisis effectively. Despite the deadlock, the determination of various environmental groups and policymakers remains strong, signaling a potential breakthrough in upcoming negotiations. Challenges to the treaty's progress span a wide range of economic and political issues. Developing nations, for example, argue for financial and technological support to transition away from plastic dependency, while some major plastic-producing countries resist binding production limits due to potential economic impacts. Addressing these concerns requires innovative solutions such as funding mechanisms for poorer nations and technological collaborations to drive sustainable alternatives. The impact of resolving the deadlock and finalizing the treaty could prove transformative. A robust agreement has the potential to significantly reduce plastic waste, protect marine life, and mitigate global greenhouse gas emissions. Furthermore, it could inspire widespread behavioral shifts in production, consumption, and waste management practices worldwide, setting a precedent for future global environmental treaties. The upcoming negotiations represents a pivotal opportunity to confront one of the planet's most pressing environmental threats. Moving on, the debate around implementing a packaging tax has garnered attention among policymakers and businesses alike. Proponents argue it could reduce waste and encourage sustainability, yet others consider it a misguided financial burden with unintended consequences. The concept typically involves taxing companies for materials used in packaging, aiming to incentivize eco-friendly alternatives. However, critics highlight severe drawbacks for industries, consumers, and the broader economy. Recent proposals suggest a significant tax on single-use packaging, targeting materials like plastics, aluminum, and even glass. According to a 2023 study, single-use packaging constitutes approximately 40% of global solid waste, sparking a push toward regulation. While companies are already investing in recyclable or biodegradable materials, introducing a tax could shift businesses' priorities away from sustainable innovation toward cost-cutting measures. A packaging tax doesn't solve the root issue, it complicates it, says industry expert Amanda Collins during a public policy forum. A major concern is the economic impact on small and medium-sized enterprises known as SMEs. Data indicates that SMEs contribute close to 50% of global GDP, but often lack the resources to absorb additional taxation. Instead of punitive measures, experts recommend investing in recycling infrastructure and incentivizing reusable materials. We need to focus on solutions that bring long-term value, not short-term penalties, stated environmental consultant Dr. John Rivera. Furthermore, recent figures reveal that less than 10% of plastic waste worldwide is recycled, underscoring the need for systematic change rather than financial penalties. If enacted, a packaging tax could have cascading effects on consumer prices and business margins. Analysts predict that product costs could rise by 15 to 25% as companies pass on the expenses to consumers. Such a shift would disproportionately affect low-income households that are already struggling with inflation and rising living costs. Conversely, a focus on funding recycling initiatives could generate jobs and reduce waste without imposing a regressive tax. Ultimately, the solution lies in collaboration between governments, businesses, and environmental organizations to achieve a balanced approach to sustainability. Moving on, the seafood industry in the United States has seen significant disruption due to the economic policies implemented during the Trump administration. While some fishermen initially regarded President Trump as an ally due to measures aimed at protecting domestic industries, the imposition of tariffs as part of trade disputes introduced new layers of complexity and challenges. These tariffs, primarily targeting exports and imports from key trading partners like China, threaten to increase costs across the seafood supply chain. President Trump took notable steps to support the domestic fishing industry, including rolling back certain regulations and promoting local fishing operations. For instance, his administration worked to open previously protected waters to commercial fishing, which was championed as a win for fishermen seeking expanded opportunities. Additionally, Trump explicitly voiced support for working-class fishermen, with him proclaiming at one event, "I'm committed to ensuring that our fishermen have access to American waters." These steps were celebrated by proponents of a robust domestic seafood market. However, the emergence of hefty tariffs on seafood imports and retaliatory tariffs on U.S. exports disrupted this progress. Notably, the U.S. imposed a 25% tariff on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods, including seafood products. These policies not only increased the cost of imported fish, but also made U.S. seafood less competitive in global markets, as Chinese retaliatory tariffs added to the economic burden of American exporters. The primary challenge faced by the seafood industry is the higher cost burden stemming from these tariffs. According to the leaders in the industry, the cost of some seafood products increased significantly, making them less accessible to consumers. We're seeing an average increase of nearly 30% on some imported seafood products, said a spokesperson for the National Fisheries Institute. This has been particularly problematic for businesses relying on imported species such as shrimp and salmon, which form a large part of the U.S. market. To address these issues, industry advocates have proposed various solutions, including temporary tariff exemptions for certain seafood products, expanded subsidies for domestic fisheries, and increased investment in marketing campaigns to promote domestically caught seafood. Some have also emphasized the need for collaborative international trade agreements to mitigate the long-term impacts of retaliatory trade actions. These effects of these tariffs go beyond economic pressures. They risk reshaping the dynamics of consumer behavior and the global seafood trade. Higher prices for seafood have made consumers more cautious about their purchases, potentially reducing demand for premium products. Additionally, American seafood exporters have struggled to retain their presence in critical markets such as China, with export volumes drastically declining due to tariff-related hurdles. Despite these challenges, some sectors have adapted by focusing on local markets and creating new strategies for growth. Still, the long-term impact of these changes remains to be seen. The seafood industry stands at a crossroads, balancing short-term resilience against the necessity for sustainable trade policies and streamlined regulatory frameworks. Albertsons, one of the largest grocery chains in the United States, has faced significant scrutiny following the decision to call off its $25 billion merger proposal with Kroger. Initially announced with the intention of creating a supermarket powerhouse to compete with retail giants like Walmart and Amazon, the proposed merger encountered multiple roadblocks, including antitrust concerns and political pushback. The dissolution of the merger has led Albertsons to refocus on enhancing its competitiveness by investing in technology, supply chain optimization, and store renovations. Reports indicate that the company plans to allocate resources towards expanding its digital footprint, particularly through online grocery ordering and delivery services, a market that has grown substantially in recent years. Additionally, Albertsons aims to modernize its brick-and-mortar locations by upgrading in-store technology and improving customer experience. Albertsons faces several challenges moving forward, including intensifying competition in the grocery sector and the growing dominance of e-commerce platforms. Addressing these issues will require strategic innovation and continued investment in areas like technology and personalized customer offerings. Analysts suggest that Albertsons must also rebuild consumer trust after the merger fallout by demonstrating its commitment to affordability and high-quality products. By forming new partnerships and prioritizing operational efficiency, Albertsons hopes to mitigate these challenges. The cancellation of the merger presents both risks and opportunities for Albertsons. On one hand, the absence of Kroger's resources could hinder the company's ability to scale rapidly. On the other hand, the emphasis on independent growth initiatives enables Albertsons to solidify its market position while avoiding regulatory hurdles. Industry experts believe that Albertson's success will heavily depend on how effectively the company implements its strategic vision, with a sharp focus on meeting the evolving needs of its customer base. We've made it to our final story. The Federal Trade Commission, known as the FTC, has filed a lawsuit against Southern Glazer's Wine and Spirits, the largest distributor of wine and spirits in the U.S., accusing the company of illegal price discrimination against small and independent businesses. The case filed in California highlights alleged unfair practices that disadvantage local retailers while benefiting large chains. Southern Glazers, a Miami-based company with $26 billion in revenue in 2023, reportedly distributes 1 in 3 bottles of wine and spirits in the U.S. The FTC claims the company provides large chains like Costco, Kroger, and Total Wine with significant quantity discounts and rebates not offered to smaller businesses. In some cases, independent retailers are charged higher prices for identical products compared to large chains located just blocks away. FTC Chair Lina Khan stated, "When local businesses get squeezed because of unfair pricing practices that favor large chains, Americans see fewer choices and pay higher prices, and communities suffer." The lawsuit is based on the rarely enforced 1936 Robinson-Patman Act, which permits volume discounts only if cost efficiencies can be proven. The FTC alleges that Southern Glazers violates the Robinson-Patman Act by offering unjustified discounts to large buyers and failing to inform smaller retailers of available deals. This creates an uneven playing field, making it difficult for local businesses to compete. Southern Glazers denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit misguided and legally flawed. The company argues that alcohol distributors operate under various regulations and asserts compliance with those requirements. The FTC is seeking an injunction to prohibit further price discrimination and ensure fair treatment for all retailers. However, enforcement of the Robinson-Patman Act faces challenges as the FTC has not pursued a similar case in over 25 years. Dissenting FTC Commissioner Andrew Ferguson expressed skepticism about the lawsuit's success, citing the lack of recent precedent. If the FTC's case succeeds, it could set a significant precedent for enforcing fair pricing practices in the alcohol distribution industry. It would provide smaller retailers with greater access to discounts and rebates, leveling the competitive landscape. This could lead to more choices for consumers and potentially lower prices. Conversely, a failure to enforce the Robinson-Patman Act may embolden larger corporations to continue practices that marginalize small businesses, further consolidating market power among industry giants. Get holiday ready with SNEED-CAST packaging solutions. From conveyors that seamlessly transport products to rotary tables that optimize workflow, SNEED-CAST helps your production line handle the holiday rush with ease. Streamline operations, boost efficiency, and keep up with increased demand without breaking a sweat. Schedule a consultation today and discover the perfect packaging solution for your business, because staying efficient is the gift that keeps giving. Like always, stay tuned for our next episode of SNEED-CAST Industry Update, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell down below to stay up to date with all of our great content. Also, let us know what topics you'd like to see us talk about here on the show. We look forward to hearing from you all, and happy holidays, everyone. Bye.